Who's ready for another battle? Let's get into this one. Nokia Lumia 830 versus the Moto X 2014. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So as always, I like to pit phones against each other that are really nice phones, and these two are some of the best. So let's get into it. I'll start with the techie stuff first, and then I'll get into the full review. So the Nokia Lumia 830 is the challenger in this situation. It took down the iPhone 6, just barely, but it took it down. So let's pit it up against the Moto X 2014 edition, second gen edition, whatever you want to call it, and see how it fares. So starting with the body, this is 150 grams and this is 144 grams. And in hand, they feel probably about the same almost. Yeah, you can't really tell the difference. So this uses a nano SIM both. This is water resistant. This is a 5-inch IPS LCD capacitive display. With a 69.9% body to screen to body ratio. This has a AMOLED capacitive display at 5.2 inches, and this is 73% screen to body ratio. 1080p at 424 pixels per inch, and 720p at 294 pixels per inch. They both have Gorilla Glass 3. This has clear black technology on the display. This is running Windows, obviously, and this is running Android. This has a quad-core 1.2 gigahertz Snapdragon 400 and the Adreno 305. This has the Snapdragon 801 clocked at 2.5 gigahertz, and it has the Adreno 330. This comes in a 16 gig with 1 gig of RAM. You can put any micro SD card in here and it'll work up to 128 gigs. This comes with 16, 32, or 64, and it has 2 gigs of RAM. This has a 10 megapixel camera, and this has a 13 megapixel camera. Let's see here. This has Carl Zeiss. This has 4K shooting. What else? This has a 0.9 megapixel camera, and this has on the front, and this has a 2 megapixel on the front. And this one actually shoots 1080p on the front. This one shoots 720. And let's see, this has Dolby Digital Sound Plus, and this has one loudspeaker. This has one loudspeaker, but it's on the front. This one's on the back. They both have dual band Wi-Fi, and that's pretty much it. This has an FM radio too. I forgot to mention that in another video. This can come with wireless charging, but this version does not have wireless charging. And I think that's about it. 2200 milliamp battery and 2300 milliamp battery. You can actually customize this any kind of way you want, and this has different colors that it comes in. So now that that's done, let's get into the battle of the basics. So as always, I like to start with the screen on both of the devices that I'm comparing. And so this is the challenger. So we have a 5-inch 720p display, and it is a very vibrant display, to say the least. Very vibrant, very nice colors, really pop on here. It looks pretty good. So it's a 720p display, but obviously it really doesn't compare and match up to the 1080p display. And I'm not just saying that because the pixel density is higher and it has a higher resolution screen. It actually does. You can tell the difference in these screens if you see them face to face. This screen is very vibrant, very punchy. Really pops on here when it comes to the display. Very fluid, very good screen on there. So this one goes to the Moto X 2014. All right, next let's get into the body. So the body on the Lumia is in metal, aluminum, whatever you want to get into. That seems to be the new thing that people are getting into. And Lumia kind of gives you a little bit of both. It has a metal frame, metal body around there, metal chassis, but it has a plastic back cover. And it feels pretty good. It's kind of squared off in the hand, a real rigid feel. It feels pretty good, but I don't think that it's any comparison to the Moto X, because the Moto X has this curved body and it is just as beautiful as it comes, man. It just falls right into your hand, tapers off to about 3.9 millimeters, and it's about almost 10 millimeters at its thickest point. But it really feels good in the hand. I mean, it just really seats well in your hand. I think you tell the difference in these if you're holding them side by side or in whichever hand. They feel about the same in weight. Now the Lumia, to me, it looks really good. I like the colors, and I said that I like this one better as far as the looks and everything, better than the iPhone 6. But you know, there's just no denying that I can make a Moto X with these same colors probably, or make it look however I want to make it look. So as far as the body goes, got to give it to the Moto X once again. Okay, let's get on the sound test. So I'm going to open up YouTube on both of these here, and I'm just going to play this intro video here. We'll start with the Lumia. And the volume is all the way up. Alright, so that is the Lumia. Now let's play it on the Moto X. Let's crank the volume up. Volume's all the way up. Alright, so there you have it. Now, the Lumia does not have a front-facing speaker, but the speaker on the Lumia, the way this casing is built, it kind of slopes a little bit, so that the sound is actually able to escape. So with the Nokia Lumia, the sound to me is really, really crisp and clear and loud. The Motorola may have a front-facing speaker, but trust me when I tell you, the Lumia is louder and clearer. And I think it's because the drivers in the Moto X appear to have a lot more bass than the Lumia 830. But that's not a good or a bad thing. It's just the way the speaker is on this one chamber here. I think if it had dual speakers, it would be a lot louder and crisp. But believe it or not, the Lumia 830 really does sound better than the Moto X, even though it has a front-facing speaker. And if I was to flip it over, it will be even louder. But it's able to get the sound out because of the way it's built here, with this like sloping design. So believe it or not, I'm going to give that round to the Lumia 830. Sound quality is a lot more crisp, loud, and it sounds better. Alright, let's move on to cameras. So the camera on the back of the Lumia is really a great camera. It's 10 megapixel. Has Carl Zeiss technology. It doesn't shoot in 4K, but man, I gotta tell you, this is by far one of the nicest cameras I've seen on a phone. It really does well. The optical image stabilization is ridiculous. I mean, it is really good, and the picture quality on here comes out really, really nice. When compared to the 13 megapixel camera on the back of the Moto X, I definitely give the edge to the Nokia Lumia 830. The Moto X camera is nice, to say the least. It's really nice. It shoots 4K. It does really good. It has HDR and everything. But there's no tap to focus. And you can actually turn the feature on. You drag and focus it right here. It's right there. I have it actually turned on, that feature right there. But you know, I I don't use that camera. Actually, the one that the Motorola camera, I use the Nexus, the Google camera, excuse me. But you know, the Lumia 830's camera is just ridiculous, man. It is really, again, there's too many options and too many ways to make your photos look really good. You can have this phone takes great pictures. I'm not saying that it's a bad camera, but when I compared the two, I took photos and looked at video from both, I just prefer the Lumia 830 over the Moto X 2014. If you have both of these devices, shout out in the comments. If you've just used them both for a second, that's not the same as having it and you own it and you know you've been using it for a month or a week or two or whatever. Just doing sample photos in a store, it could be okay, but to me you don't really get the feel of it. So I like the Moto X's camera, but I don't like it better than the Nokia Lumia 830, and that's that. So web browsing. This is kind of I like the internet browser on Windows Phone a little bit better than Chrome browser, but there's just something about the Windows Phone browser, and I like it better than Chrome, but you know, there's just things in the browser, some simple things that I just can't do, and I've said it a bunch of times, like simple things like commenting on something. It takes a little bit of time. It works, but it still takes a little bit of tweaking to do. So I have to give the edge to the Moto X for web browsing. And Chrome is not one of the best browsers, but it can get basic tasks done without any alterations. So I got to give that one to the Moto X. One thing that I like about these is that they're phones, and you use them to make calls. You're supposed to. And the Moto X has great call quality. The speakers on here are really good. The Nokia Lumia has really good call quality as well. Haven't had any HD calls on this one. I believe I've gotten an HD call on this one. I think I have. Can't remember. But anyway, both of these sound great. Call quality is fantastic on both. So I'm just going to label that one the same, about a tie for that. As far as features go on both of these, they're two different operating systems and they both have their limitations. But Android, obviously, you have widgets and you can customize them and you can have all the little different things in here, just everything. You know, I put a little battery icon up there, but I also can put a battery icon over here. I have just the default one here. But they both can pretty much be customized. The thing about both of these, though, is the beauty of Windows Phone. Windows Phone looks a heck of a lot better. It looks better than iOS. It looks better than Android. And I'm talking about just the way when you pick up the phone, the way it looks. This is much more beautiful to me because it appears to be a little bit more elegant, and it just looks really nice compared to Android and iOS. So I definitely give the edge to the Nokia Lumia 830. The Android, you know, that was the thing when you compare this next to an iPhone. It doesn't have, iPhone doesn't have widgets or anything like that on the actual homepage, so it's just a bunch of icons, so that's kind of a no-brainer. But Android actually has tons of features that you can do with widgets, but at the same time, Windows Phone has live tiles. Which is kind of like, you know, BlackBerry. You can see live updates immediately right on your screen without doing anything. And I like that. I like the animated look of Windows Phone. I think it's a beautiful operating system. So definitely look and feel and features, I give the edge to the Nokia Lumia 830. Now, let's get into something that I'm sure all of you, if you have a Moto X 2014, you're going to shout, I agree. You can't disagree with this. You can, but most of my experiences with people that I know in my own Moto X, let's talk about the battery. The battery on the Lumia definitely can go about 3 days on a charge, and I can get about 5 to 6 hours of screen on time. With the Moto X, I've barely gotten 4 hours of screen on time, and it definitely does not last a full day with regular use or heavy use. It has, with the upgrade to 5.0, the standby time is great, but when you start to use it, it drains seriously fast. It drains really fast, so you will need some kind of external battery charger, or you'll need to keep a charger on hand. It really does do poorly in the battery category. That's just how it goes. So the battery, definitely, this is a 2300 milliamp battery, and this is a 2200 milliamp battery. But to me, again, it's all about optimization, how the phones are optimized, and this is something that I think iOS has mastered as well. They have great standby time and great battery life on their phones, and Windows Phone is no exception. It's right on par, if not better in some ways. It has fantastic battery life, and it all goes back to the way your operating system is optimized. So that is all for the battle. Let's get into a rating here. Okay, so which one of these would I recommend for you to purchase if you were looking for a smartphone, or if you were trying to choose between these particular two? Well, the Lumia obviously is the challenger. The Lumia has a great price point. It has removable battery, SD card. You can change the color. You can buy it in a different color or change the back plate. It has external physical camera key, which is nice. Build quality is pretty solid. The price point is really nice. You can actually get this you can get this for $99, and you get a free smartwatch with it. Or you could pay full cost and get it for $449, and you can get it unlocked or just whatever. Now the Motorola comes in different price points. You can get this free sometimes on contract, or you can get it for $99 on contract, $49 on contract, or you can pay $499 or $599 or $550. 32 gig is $550, $500 for the 16 gig, and $599 for the 64 gig. So the price point kind of really gets up there. Overall, though, I think as far as an overall package, pricing, features, availability, everything, I definitely, just by a small margin, I have to give this one to the Nokia Lumia 830. Solely because of a few reasons. The battery, for one. The camera is just so nice. Battery lasts, I can charge this, and I'm guaranteed at least a day and a half with this device right here. Not guaranteed a day and a half with this one, and that's kind of sad because I really love my Moto X, but I frequently have to charge it. So, you know, and those are the days when I do some gaming or heavy use, the battery drains really fast. Standby time is great, but once you start to use it, it depletes pretty quickly. And standby time on the Nokia Lumia, if you're wondering, is a lot better than the Moto X. And it's solely because, you know, the Android devices, you know, there's some applications you just can't turn off. No matter what you do. I've tried, you just can't turn them off, and they just keep running no matter what. So, but with Windows Phone and iOS and BlackBerry, I've noticed that I don't see things. And with Windows Phone, you can restrict background access as well. But I don't really have to do that with this phone because it just does well. The battery and the operating system is optimized perfectly fine for me. And I'm guaranteed at least a day and a half on a single charge. At least a day and a half. I'll even go so far as 2 days. But in this particular battle, the Nokia Lumia 30 seems to be on a good run, and I give the edge to the Nokia Lumia 830. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.